Hello and welcome to my channel Rainbow Baby Arnav. Today I'm going to tell you the story of my IVF. My IVF was successful in the first attempt and I'm going to share some details about the same with you. But before that, let me remind you that if you haven't already, please do subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon. And if you like this video, please do hit the like button as well. So let's begin. My IVF saga started in the year 2017. To be precise, it was January 21st, 2017 when I went for my first consultation. I had been to Dr. Nandita Palshitkar at her Opera House clinic and I met her there and she first studied my history. In 2017, it was more than 7 years of our marriage, and we were still not able to conceive. We were facing problems, we were facing failures, and we had gone to her more like a last resort. Okay, and she's a very renowned doctor, and her success rate is also very good. But it varies, right? Nobody really can guarantee the success rate for IVFs, but nevertheless, we wanted to give it a shot. So when we went to her, like I said, she first studied entire history. There was a lot in my medical file because I was taking treatments almost for 7 years or a little less than that. But it's a long time, right? And I had had multiple issues before that, and I had had a couple of miscarriages. So she first studied all of that, and she very candidly said that she would suggest IVF to us because we had practically tried everything before going to her. We had done a lot of treatments with many other doctors, but unfortunately, we couldn't conceive. So when she said that, I was not very sure whether I wanted to do it or not. The reason being, I was not knowing a lot about IVF then, okay, and there was no ready information available on internet. Not as much as information was there back then. It might sound like just 3 years ago, but the information was not there. Whatever information was available, it was mostly related to the cases abroad, from US, UK, and I used to be happy reading about their success stories, but I used to find it very difficult to relate it to the Indian scenario, right? So I was quite hesitant. And another factor that was sort of making me unsure about this whole thing was the financial factor. IVF is very costly. It is very costly. So and Dr. Nandita gauged that hesitation in me, and she said that rather I had asked her that is there anything else that we could do before starting with the IVF, or is the IVF only option? So she said, since we had done everything possible before coming to her, she would like to go for IVF directly. But if we are not comfortable, she said we could do one round of IUI. Okay, but she advised that only one round, not more than that, because I had already put my body through a lot till then, and time was also ticking. I was 33 by then, and the body clock was ticking. The mental health was deteriorating because you can imagine the kind of failures and the kind of challenges we had had before. It wasn't easy for us to put us back and get going again. So she suggested not to invest too much time in that. So we did opt for IUI, but unfortunately, it did not succeed. We couldn't conceive yet another time. So IVF was the only option. I was shattered, heartbroken, upset. But by that time, I was used to all these feelings. I would be very low for a couple of days and just bounce back to my life again, because I had got so used to these things happening that I just knew, come what may, I have to resume my normal life. Okay. So IVF was it is. But even before we formally decided that we want to do IVF, we had a couple of conversations with her apart from the routine consultations, all right, just to gain surety and assurance that we are heading into the right path. She gave me she suggested a good counselor I had met her, and she counseled me really well. She prepared me for the IVF process at the emotional level or at the mindset. And that is very important. Your mindset is very important when you're going for IVF. Of course, the way you prepare your body, the way you take your medicines is also important, but at the same time, it is very important what mindset you're carrying. Okay, if you wish to know more as to how I build up my mindset for IVF, do let me know in the comments, and I will make a separate video, a detailed video on it, step by step. There's a lot of work that you have to do to be mentally prepared for IVF, because IVF could be very taxing. So that was it. We decided that we wanted to go for IVF. We analyzed the cost, and it was expensive. It really was expensive, but we wanted to give it a shot to see if it really helps us. And more importantly, 4 to 5 years down the line, I did not want to turn back and think, oh, only if I would have tried IVF, I would have probably had a baby of my own. So, to rule that thought out, we decided to go for IVF. Starting with the actual IVF procedure, Dr. Nandita had advised us to go for another procedure called as hysteroscopy. What happens in this procedure is that the uterus is examined from inside. The dimensions and the physical appearance of the uterus was fine in my case, but Dr. Nandita suspected that there could be a problem inside. So she advised us this procedure. She also mentioned that she advises this to almost everybody undergoing IVF procedure, because if there's a problem inside the uterus, that could be main cause for the failure of IVF. And if we skip that and go to the IVF procedure directly, it may result in an unsuccessful attempt. It's not mandatorily like that, but she just wanted to be sure that there is no problem inside the uterus. So we decided to go for the procedure. It was a simple one, just a 1 day procedure. They examined the uterus from inside in that procedure, and they found polyps. So that was probably one of the reasons why I was having early miscarriages. So they removed those polyps and cleaned the uterus from inside, and that was the main step of preparing my body for the IVF. So when the procedure was over, we let that month pass, and I waited for my next period. And after that, we were supposed to start with the real IVF procedure. So in the month of July, I got my period on 3rd, and since then, the real IVF procedure started. I was put on the medication, and I was being prepared for the whole thing. By the way, I also utilized the time between the hysteroscopy and the real IVF the procedure to work on my mental strength and body positivity and mind positivity. Again, if you want any details on this, do let me know in the comments, and I will come up with a video on the same. Like I mentioned before, there's a lot of work that you need to do to prepare yourself for IVF. So, the first step in the IVF process is stimulation. You're put on a medication to stimulate the ovaries to release more number of eggs. You would know that in a normal anatomy, each ovary releases only one egg in one cycle. All right, but when someone is going for the IVF procedure, we need to have more number of eggs, because it increases the chances of pregnancy. Also, there are many more steps in the procedure, and not all eggs sustain those steps, right? So by the end of it, you may not have many left, many viable eggs left. So that is the reason you need stimulation. So I was put on that stimulation process. It means lot of hormonal medicines and injections, and while you're on that, the growth of follicles is monitored every day in some cases, or alternate day in some cases. So In my case, I was called on the 6th day of the period, then on the 8th day, and so on. And a little later in the cycle, I was called every day. So once the follicles had reached the expectation and the judgment of the doctor, I was supposed to be given an injection for rupture. Okay, so when you are put on stimulation, you also need a medication for the rupture. All right, it cannot happen on its own, or rather, you can't wait till it happens on its own, because um, over maturity of follicles is also not good. It doesn't give you viable eggs. So doctor monitors and advises exactly when the rupture should happen, and accordingly when you should take the injection. In my case, the rupture injection was supposed to be taken at 1:30 a.m. It was really an odd time, and I was worried because I would need to time my sleep accordingly and rush to the doctor just in time to get that injection. And the delay is not really allowed. There's only a window of 10 minutes. A 10 minutes delay is permissible, but not more than that. And if at all that happens, it would mean that we might waste the cycle. And doing all of the hormonal medicines again for the second cycle is very difficult. But by God's grace, we were able to take the rupture injection on time. Next step after the rupture is extraction. What happens in this step is that the eggs which are released because of the rupture are extracted from the body of the woman undergoing IVF. So it is a one-day procedure. The actual process takes about 1 hour, or a little less or a little more. I don't recollect because I was fast asleep, anesthesia effect, right? But it's not very torturing. They give you all, they make sure that you're comfortable, and the painkillers and everything are given to you properly. And in the evening, if you're not showing any signs of any kind of problem, you're allowed to go home. So that happened. And after that, the eggs would need to culminate into an embryo, and that happens when they come in contact with the sperm. So all this procedure happens outside the body. In normal cases, it happens inside the body, but in IVF, it happens outside the body. And here is where the embryologist plays a very important role. Now, the doctor monitors the formation of embryos, with what speed it is getting splitted, and that determines whether the transfer would happen of a 3-day-old embryo or a 5-day-old embryo. And another important call that the doctor takes is whether we should do a fresh transfer or a frozen transfer. In my case, Dr. Nandita suggested that we do a frozen transfer. The reason being that because the body was stimulated, the ovaries were stimulated for releasing more number of eggs. The ovaries are swollen, they become bulky, and that could be one of the reasons for a miscarriage. It's not always the reason, and a miscarriage will not always happen, but it could be a reason. And Dr. Nandita wanted to rule out any possibility like that. So she suggested that we do a frozen embryo transfer. We had got 4 embryos, only 4 embryos, which means we had only 4 chances of getting pregnant through the cycle. It was not a great number because with the kind of stimulation and everything that is given in the IVF process, great number of embryos can be obtained, but in our case, there were only 4 embryos. Nevertheless, we still kept our hopes alive, and after a month, the transfer was supposed to happen. That 1 month was quite crucial because I used that time to prepare myself mentally. I worked a lot on body positivity and mind positivity. Again, if you want to know how and what did I exactly do for the body and mind positivity, do mention that in the comments and I will make a separate video on that. So finally, the day of transfer came, and it was a very quick and easy procedure for me. But that is where the skill of the doctor plays an important role, because what happens in the transfer is that the doctor puts the embryo in the uterus. Okay, so the doctor's skill and judgment of placing that embryo at the right place is what really matters. And then it's also up to your body whether it accepts that embryo or not. If the embryo sticks, it will give you a positive pregnancy. If it doesn't stick, it will be a failure. Another important call that the doctor takes is how many embryos should be transferred. And the embryos are graded, okay, A grade, B grade, C grade, according to their quality. So doctor also has to decide whether one embryo transfer is to be done, or two or three, and if more than one embryos are to be used, whether all the A grade embryos should be used, or a combination of A and C or A and B should be used. So this is where the skill of the doctor really comes into picture and plays a very important role. In my case, we used only two embryos, and we decided to freeze the rest of the two, just in case if we did not have success this cycle, this transfer, we would use the remaining two for the next transfer. So the transfer happened, and after that there were no restrictions on me. I could do my normal work, I could move around normally, I could eat whatever I wanted to, no restrictions. However, I was advised to work from home for some time because my office was quite far away. I had to travel 20 kilometers one way, and you know the conditions of the roads in Mumbai. So, considering that, I was advised to work from home for some time, but otherwise, no bed rest or no special care is required. You know, of course, you need to be careful that you don't do extra strenuous activities, but you can just go about your normal life. Once the transfer is over, it's all about the waiting game. You have to wait for 2 weeks or 14 days to test whether the transfer has resulted in a successful pregnancy or not. So, 2 weeks otherwise would not mean a very long time, but during this process, it appears, or it seems to be a very, very, very long time, because your mind is crowded with a lot of anxiety and a lot of fear, because there was history. Our medical history showed that we used to have early miscarriages, and at the same time you have a feeling that I have done so much, I've taken so much efforts, and I'm not getting anything in return, and will I succeed this time or not. So basically the whole vibe was about being scared and being very anxious, but there was very little that we could do about it, and the best thing was to just be positive and live our routine life. And as in how we were approaching the day of testing the pregnancy, I was getting anxious. I was excited also, so it was all mixed feelings. Mm, Eventually the day arrived, and it was to be tested as the first thing in the morning. We had to test it with the help of a home pregnancy kit. And let me tell you, I had never seen two lines on the pregnancy kit. The two pregnancies that I had had before were determined through the blood test. We had never done a home kit test before. So I was so desperate to see those lines, two lines, and at the same time, I was so anxious and worried whether it will happen or not happen. And I tested, and I just kept the stick aside because I couldn't see two lines. I just kept the stick aside and started my day. I was making tea when my husband called from behind and asked me what happened, uh, whether I checked or not. And I said, yeah, I did. And it's not different. It's like usual. We are not pregnant. And my husband asked, are you sure? Because somehow, all through this process, he was very positive and very confident, and he used to make me feel so good through all this phase that I don't know, there was some power in him. So he was not ready to believe that we were not pregnant. So he asked me whether I threw the stick or is it still there. I said, yes, it is there. I've kept it on the stand in the bathroom. And he went there and he checked and he called me and he said, see, there are two lines. And what were you saying? And I couldn't believe what I was seeing. There were indeed two lines there. So it means that probably I did not wait for enough time for the second line to show up, or my mind was so biased by the history that it refused to see the second line. But whatever it was a positive pregnancy, and it was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. So we were very happy, and we had to report to the doctor that the home care pregnancy test has come out positive, and then we had to consult to her or as to what to do next and what to do further. So that was my IVF story in gist. There are many more details of each step of IVF. In fact, after having a positive pregnancy test at this stage, the journey from here till the live birth of the baby is also very long, and it is like that in most of the IVF cases. So there's a lot that I will cover in future videos, but if there's anything specific that you want me to talk about, feel free to mention it in the comments, and I will try my best to make a video on that. So that was our happy story. That was our first attempt successful IVF story. And if you liked my video and if you liked our story, please do subscribe to my channel, hit the like button, and also hit the bell icon. Bye bye.